Today, let's talk about a myth I encounter a lot when I talk to guys who want to make what seems like a big change in their lives or their business. And this myth has the power to keep guys stuck at the starting line their entire lives. In case you don't know who I am, I'm Tripp Lanier. For over 12 years, I've spent thousands of hours coaching folks to get out of the rat race, become an authority in their field, and make a great living doing the work they were put on this earth to do. And for more than a decade, I've hosted the New Man podcast, which has been downloaded millions of times. It can be found on iTunes or Stitcher. And for whatever I'm about to say, keep what works for you and throw out the rest. Let's talk about this myth that gets in the way of guys going for what they truly want in this life. The myth goes something like, in order to create the personal change or relationship change or professional change I really want, I would have to do something really scary or do something that would jeopardize my family or something that would turn my entire lifestyle upside down. I got news for you. This myth is total bullshit. It's just classic resistance. Let's think about it. As long as we have this terrifying thing in the way, then we don't have to actually do anything to move forward. And by choosing to avoid this big, scary thing for the sake of our family, we get to look like the good guy. It's just a great excuse. Let's look at this a little closer, okay? I recently worked with a guy who told me he had this huge burning desire to start his own real estate company. He's been trying to do it for years, he said, but by gosh, he just couldn't figure out why he wasn't moving forward. So I asked him, what do you think needs to happen before you can move forward? And he said, well, I would need to quit my job. And before I could do that, I'd have to have X amount in the bank so my family would be okay. And man, I'm just not saving it quickly enough. It's going to take years at this rate. And so I asked, okay, well, tell me this. What's the first thing you would do after you had all the money saved up and you knew your family was safe and you'd quit your job? And he thought about it for a little while and he said, well, I'd reach out to some mentors and some others and I'd start figuring out how to create this investment deal. I'd research what would make it work for them, that kind of thing. I was like, okay, great. And do you really need to quit your job in order to do that? Replied, no, I guess not. Here's the deal. Our fears love to keep us in a rigid, all or nothing mindset. Our resistance cooks up a story that says creating what we most want is going to be high intensity or high danger or high drama. But the reality is that the work itself, it's not dramatic. The process is not remarkable. When we can see the resistance for what it is, which is just the fear of the unknown, we can just do the steps right in front of us. We can simply start. And usually starting means doing something really basic, like having some conversations or learning some new skills. This idea that we have to have some big, dramatic, scary move before we can start is just not true. Break it down. Clarify that first step and then get to work. Most of the time we'll find that there's no need to jeopardize our families or our lifestyle in order to do that. Talk's cheap, so let's test it. What's the big idea that you have that you think is going to disrupt your entire life? Now imagine that you had all the resources and all the green lights in front of you. What's the very next step that you would take? Chances are it's a small one, and so is the next one after that. Hire a coach or join a quality mastermind group so that you can continue to take effective action, and you'll be amazed at the progress you'll make in a matter of months, all without blowing up what you care about most. Here's to living with greater freedom, aliveness, peace, and love. Thanks for watching.